Welcome in to a Thursday edition. I can't believe it's already Thursday.
Last week dragged by.
It did.
It was weird. This week.
Football season, baby.
Yep.
I know.
Training camp.
38 days.
First day of flag football practice yesterday. Freaked out a lot of parents.
I bet you
I don't know if you're cut out for this. Do they love it?
They love it. They love
We
it.
could find out.
Didn't touch a football first 45 minutes of practice.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Just breaking them in. See the championship, boys. 12 weeks from now.
Visualize.
Start to see it.
Start off with
As
us
you run,
like
as
Man
you run those
Campbell.
laps in 110 degree weather.
I ain't doing none of this.
You don't need water, it's a mindset.
Yeah.
Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure to hit that like button,
Live button.
share button, comment button. We are live here on this Thursday morning. We're going to talk to offensive analyst Carter Sheridan, who's got a really cool story in football. He's been an assistant for the New Orleans Saints. He's worked for Sean Payton for a lot of the glory years during the Saints run. He was there a part of the Super Bowl run in 2009. He was brought over to LSU back in 2020. We'll ask him a lot about that.
Right now.
Is he really?
Yeah, I see it on our DMs.
Sweet. Hey, TJ. Kelly's suffering from an eye infection yesterday.
I like the glasses, though.
Was a cool look on the glasses, but you could tell my guy was ready to get out of there.
Yeah, he was.
Get him
He
some
was,
drops.
yes, he was, but he was great. I thought the way that he handled the room was fantastic. He had a
Yeah,
couple
he was
of
good.
light jokes. He had people kind of laughing a little bit, and also kind of gave you some insight on his team and where they are now, and some of the things and some of the feelings he has on stuff like NIL and stuff like his team. He went into a little bit of the depth chart talk and was talking about the quarterbacks, and it was cool. We'll talk to Carter Sheridan coming up here at about 5 or 6 minutes here about the LSU offense, and then we'll go down to New Orleans and talk to Nick Underhill from New Orleans Football on the Saints. Our guy Ron Riggs is down there covering the Saints. Nick Underhill just hit me with a text yesterday out of nowhere, like yesterday
clouds.
afternoon. Yeah, your boy Ron's a good dude.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Told
for
Ron to
Ryan.
get in his back pocket. Anything Nick does, you do.
Shadow him.
What's up, Coach?
Love that.
Hell yeah,
Let's
Nola's
go.
finest, baby. Yes, indeed. Carter Sheridan's going to be in here in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk to him about this offseason LSU offense, this staff that we've gotten a chance to talk to a lot here at LSU. But like I said, we'll talk to Nick Underhill at 8 a.m. this morning as Nick will get us the latest on New Orleans Saints training camp. Mike Thomas. Man, I was freaking out a little bit this week. Now I'm freaking out in a good way because my man is back. He looks fantastic.
He looked fluid. I don't know why he's on the PUP.
He looks like a
'Cause
Ferrari.
He looks like he's able to perform.
And he also looks motivated. And a motivated, healthy Mike Thomas is a nightmare for the NFL, but is a great scenario for first-year head coach Dennis Allen and a fit Jameis Winston.
That's what
Very
I've
good.
noticed too. He looks
great.
great.
He
He really
looks
does.
fantastic.
From the photos of him with an elastic band around his waist where he looks like he's 260
I know.
pounds. Now he's svelte.
Yeah.
Said he
He
recorded
looks
like
good.
maybe 20 miles an hour on the
Coach, he looks great. I
on
believe
the,
it.
the testing.
I believe it. I
Take
mean, you forget him coming out of high school. I mean, he was a superstar two-sport athlete.
Yeah, he played right field for the
Absolutely.
at Florida State.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean,
pitched.
was a
Yeah.
superstar
He pitched?
baseball player.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize
That was the reason why Alabama lost Jameis Winston. And that's the reason why Alabama built a baseball stadium, because on his official visit, Saban took him over to the baseball stadium, and Jameis Winston laughed at it. Yeah, he did. And went the next weekend to Florida State and committed on the spot in the baseball stadium.
way.
And Saban was like, I'm done with this bullshit. Build this guy a palace of a baseball stadium, because we're never losing a recruit again because of stuff like this.
That's amazing.
Take some of my money. Go over here.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Take whatever you need. Hire whoever you want.
Nick
Make sure
Saban
we never
baseball
lose the
arena.
number one
Yeah.
quarterback in the country again.
It's the Nick Saban Baseball Stadium.
That's
It's
amazing. I didn't know that.
also LSU football getting to training camp. And look, as we mentioned with SEC Media Days, kind of being the kickoff to football season, it's even more imminent when the head coach speaks to the Baton Rouge Rotary. That's usually the last public stop for Brian Kelly. Now, we are blowing Michael Bonnet up daily. I'm text messaging Bonnet. I'm sending him emails on how we can get BK in studio just before fall camp in the season. I don't know how likely it is at this point, but hopefully at some point it will happen. But usually when they talk to the Baton Rouge Rotary Club, that's usually it. I mean, that's usually kind of like the last stop that the head coach makes before they get into camp. So we will hopefully have a chance to hear from him. But it means that football season is here. I mean, it's here. We were in the stadium yesterday. Grass is cut. It was a beautiful, sunshiny Wednesday. You could feel it. I mean, you could feel everybody in the room kind of gearing towards the season, and it's here. So, all right, remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Go Chevrolet, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com, online. They got new cars down in LaPlace. They got used cars over here in Baton Rouge at Go Express Auto Sales. That's at Florida Boulevard and Sherwood Forest. And our friends over at Metropolitan Health Group, real doctors, real solutions. Charles Harvey, Jason Ramazan, help you out with anything over there. Real doctors, real solutions at Metropolitan Health Group. They bring you our phone line. We'll talk to Nick Underhill at 8 a.m. Frank Alessi will be remote in at 8:45 and give us the latest on F1. Give me a small break. We're going to get Coach Sheridan in here and talk to him about the offseason, LSU coming up on offense. We'll get some stories about Sean Payton and the Saints. A lot of cool stuff coming up here with Coach Sheridan.
Go Deli. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go Mart.
We've seen the BK takeover stuff from LSU and social media, and really in his short time in Baton Rouge, there's been a lot of people embracing his approach to building this roster. What's it like to recruit alongside him?
Oh, it's been great. Coach has been awesome to me because he lets me be myself when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to coaching. He lets his coaches coach, he lets his coaches recruit. So I have no complaints on that end. And when I need him to get in touch with a kid, he's there for me. The communication line has been great. He's just been nothing but supportive.
But this opportunity was different. You have a chance to come to a place with unbelievable tradition, work for the winningest head coach in college football. Just be at a state. I've never been at a state where football's king, and if you just dominate your state, you're going to get some of the best players that there are.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think, getting through spring, I mean, most of it was obviously just installing the offense. And I think all four guys really made some strides in terms of that and showed a lot of positives. Obviously, which, you guys get to talk about all the time. So you guys,
Sure.
But all four have done a great job. They did. I think they did a really nice job in spring of taking strides forward individually, and everybody's different in terms of what they need to get better at and what they need to show. And then move it into summer, and I love the way they're working right now in the weight room for Coach Flint. But like I said, I think spring a lot was everything was new for everybody. So especially at the beginning, there wasn't as much evaluation, say the first few days, get into the flow, and then I think we got some good opportunities for some guys to get some reps, and I think everybody showed some positives.
Hey, Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacey, Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team.
Make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
Best athlete to come out of New Iberia, Mark Roman?
Kayshawn Buddha.
Kayshawn? Wow.
Right now, Kayshawn, Mark was a little bit before me. I was a ball boy. When Mark was playing at New Iberia Senior High School, I played like right after Mark. But Kayshawn just has done some things, and just the things that you guys are seeing Kayshawn do, that he's not even scratching the surface of what we saw on a day-to-day basis at practice. He's unreal. He's unreal.
He's so natural. It's so so easy. It looks so easy to him.
Yes, it's so easy, and there's never been another a competitor I've ever seen like Kayshawn. Kayshawn would not lose going to eat pregame meal. He has to be the first. he is the ultimate competitor. You know, he would not lose. So trust me, he will be ready.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live on this Wednesday. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you have not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure and hit that subscription. And every time we go live, if you hit the bell, you'll be notified. And you don't want to miss what's coming up now. Carter Sheridan, who is an LSU offensive analyst, been here since 2020, but has a great football resume. A New Orleanian, St. Aug, another Purple Knight on staff with Coach Frank Wilson, Cortez Hankton, who came through yesterday. In fact, him and Coach Hank were on campus together over at St. Aug in the mid-'90s. And it is our pleasure to welcome in on set here on this Thursday morning LSU offensive analyst Carter Sheridan to the conversation. Coach, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Jordan.
Absolutely, man. First and foremost, yesterday Coach Hank coming through gave us an opportunity to talk to all of the on-the-field full-time staffers, and one thing that has jumped out has just been it's a room full of good people, man, and it seems like they like people. And I've said that's got to be a tough task for a head coach that is bringing together a lot of personalities, and for all of them to get along like it seems like you guys do.
Yeah, we do. We get along very well. It's pretty easy when you have like-minded individuals who have the same and common goals in mind. And I think that was a big part of, why Coach Kelly assembled this cast of men to lead our team and to lead these men. It's a great culmination of minds. We have fun. I know Cortez told you that yesterday. We have a lot of fun in there, but we also get the job done. And first and foremost, like when Mike Denbrock first had us in there as a staff, he made it clear that it's about our student athletes. Mm-hmm. We could be knee deep in scheming and game planning, all those things. If one of those guys knocks on your door, that takes precedent. That's priority. And we're all on the same page, all on one accord as far as that goes. So I think Coach Kelly's done a great job in assembling great men first and foremost.
Yesterday we had a chance to hear Coach Kelly speak publicly over at the Rotary Club to a room full of passionate LSU Tiger fans in South Stadium suites yesterday, and really I think he got a look at just kind of the passion all in one room of the fan base. Mm-hmm. He seems like he understands the job in the SEC. What have you made of the short time that you've been working for him?
Well, one thing that Coach Kelly realized early on is that down in Louisiana we love our football, mm-hmm. and we're passionate about it, and he's embraced that, and he knows that and understands that and caters to that, and he aligns his values. I mean, there's no accident he's the most winningest coach in college football. He's aligning his values with what the LSU culture is all about, in an unwavering way. So he's receiving this community well. The community is embracing him. It was a little rough at first.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But we're getting there. And winning cures all.
Sure, absolutely. And look, he made light of that yesterday. He really gets it. And look, his resume speaks for itself. And mm-hmm. like you said, where he's coming from and what he's accomplished up to this point makes him, gives LSU fans a really good outlook for the future. But he was talking about, the challenges that you guys had early on of recruiting your roster, rebuilding to kind of where you guys got to in spring. You made it through the transition from last staff to this staff, one of just a minimal few that were able to do that. Can you talk about that time period of trying to get this roster to a competitive state to where it is going into this season?
Well, it's always a challenging time when you have a coaching change. You don't know what's going to happen. You're in the middle of the season. You're not in the middle of the season, but you're approaching the end of a season. You're trying to complete a recruiting cycle. You're trying to prepare for a bowl game. You're trying to, you know the previous head coach is out, so you're still trying to keep your current roster focused. So that's a challenge in itself because, you kind of lose your legs from under you a little bit because he's not going to be here. Well, I got to listen to him. So that was a challenging part, but we had the right guys, and Coach Kelly identified the right guys, and those guys who are on our roster currently and stayed and remained clearly were the ones that fit Coach Kelly's mold and fit the direction of where this program is trying to go. But it was my attitude is always just look, put your head down and work. I'm a blue collar guy. That was instilled in me through my father. He's a blue collar guy, and control the controllables. I can't control who's coming in, who's going out. I have a job to do. I was entrusted with a duty and a responsibility, and I'm going to do it, to the best of my ability. And then you let all the other pieces fall into place.
Yeah. How did that conversation go with you and BK when he got here? That he recognized that you would fit into his staff.
Well, coming back from the bowl game, that whole debacle. But there were some positives, and I kind of beat my chest a little bit because we had 3 touchdowns in the game, scored by 3 receivers, thrown by a receiver.
That's
so
right.
I was
take credit for those.
Yeah, I'll take it. Right. But he called me in his office, and everybody was going, having their conversation, exit interviews, this and that, and I expected mine to be no different. And then he said, "Coach, I'd like for you to remain." And this was before Coach even had a receiver coach in the building. There were grumblings of Coach Hankton coming, and I was probably one of his biggest cheerleaders at that time. While he's making his run, I'm like, "Hey, bro, come on, what you doing?" And so he sat me down, and it was a quick conversation. He liked the way that I handled the situation. He admired the way I went about my business and worked and competed and, did my job to get our student athletes ready for a game. And he said, "We want to keep you on, same role." The main takeaway, what I remember him telling me is that with our student athletes, we're demanding, not demeaning. Wow. And that's one thing I keep with me, and I practice it every day. I'm from New Orleans. I'm a 504 boy, and we could get a little fiery.
Sure.
We gotta kind of watch what we say, but I try to choose my words wisely. And that was his main takeaway from me to me was just make sure you're demanding, not demeaning, and keep doing what you're doing.
You and Hank look like y'all work really well together.
We do. Just like the rest of our staff, we have common core values. The work is the work, the standard is the standard, and we hold those guys to a high standard, and the expectation is high. And it's if our expectation level for you is lower than yours of yourself, we're probably not going to get along. Our coaching style it isn't for everybody, and I mean there are other places you can go where they'll accept and they'll settle for whatever you have to give them. But when you come in that building every day, you need to be ready. You need to be ready to give your all, hold yourself to a high standard. All those things, all those traits of excellence that Coach BK preaches on a daily basis. You need to be ready to live it and walk the walk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're aligned in that regard.
What is the responsibility and role of an offensive analyst and somebody who sits in your position?
I don't think there's
Is it not defined? Is it not?
Yeah, I don't think there's an actual playbook of what that looks like. My job in a lot of the places I've been, my job has always been to support, help, serve. Whether it's the student athletes, whether it's the coach, another support staff member, just make their job a little easier, and I embrace that. And but just to answer your question, I assist in the pass game. Obviously, assist with the wide receiver duties, and as far as drill work and schematically, I work with how can we put this guy in the best position to have success. What tools can we equip and arm this style of receiver with so he can have success on Saturdays. Also, a big responsibility is recruiting. When it's permitted, reaching out to those guys, having conversations, getting them on campus, and just fostering those relationships with our staff and our program to get the right kind of people in the building.
We talk to a lot of recruits here and guys that are either committed to you or guys that you are going after. Speaking of LSU, and your name comes up a lot. It seems like you love that part of the game, the recruiting aspect of it.
I do. It's all about relationships, man. And I work for a lot of different people. And Frank, obviously Frank Wilson, his name comes up all the time. And in my journey as a coach, recruiter, I've always looked up to him. And I've always kind of grafted on to, what is he doing? Why is he so successful? And he's an elite listener. You know what I mean? And, he told me, another recruiter as well, guys I've worked with in the past, to be a good recruiter, you have to be a great listener, because a recruit will tell you exactly what he wants. And when you listen and he tells you, and same with the family members, they'll tell you exactly what they want, in the program, in the school, in the team, and what they want for their son. Yeah. And if you listen to that and cater to that, and then show that, hey, we can provide that. We can, this is what that looks like. This is what we could provide for your son to advance him, on and off the field, not just for the next 4 years, but for the next 40 years. Yeah. And that's I love that.
Fall camp. Fall camp.
Like I alluded to before, the expectation level it's high. I mean, the standard is high, and every day, we keep close tabs on them, making sure they're in class, and making sure they know what they need to do in order to be ready, and be eligible and all those things for the season. But character-wise, it doesn't get any better. Those guys come to work with their hard hat on, and it's you can't ask for a better group. They take it seriously. They're intentional with their work and what they do, and it's a pleasure to be able to have a role in coaching those guys. But yeah, Kayshawn is he's gonna, if he does inkling of what we think he can do, he's gonna be smelling jet fuel, at the end of the season, taking the trip to the Biletnikoff Award ceremony. And then we got, Malik's coming along well, Jack's coming along well, the two Lafayette boys. I love watching them. They're so competitive, just that they kind of got that, like us New Orleans people do, got that raw edge about them. Yeah. They have that as well. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He's underappreciated.
Yeah, and they play with a chip on their shoulder. They want, one-on-ones. They're always jumping the line. I'm next. No, I got to get my rep back. If a DB gets the best of them one play, they're like, nah, I'm not letting that go. Yeah. That's how Jamar was too. Jamar, Racy, Terrace, they had that same, you see those flashes of that edge, with those guys as far as their attitude goes towards football and their approach to competing on a daily basis. So, you got Brian Thomas, Chris Hill, and I mean, those guys are roommates, and they're different. They're soft-spoken. Yeah. You don't hear much from them, but they go out and handle their business. They do what they need to do, and they do exactly what's asked of them. And we're very pleased with where we are.
A name
receiver room.
that you got headliners: Thomas, Hilton, Kayshawn, Malik, Jack, Besh. It seems like Jeray Jenkins is a guy that's always consistent and always just whenever you call upon him, he's there. He does his job. He gets the first down catch.
Right.
You know what I mean? He makes that big third down catch for you.
Man, Jeray is amazing. I mean, he's one of those guys. His best ability is his availability.
Yeah.
And reliability.
Right.
He's always ready. He's always there. He's probably he's the smartest receiver in the room.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You can plug him in any different spot. He can play all 4 positions on the field. And he's kind of just that, he's a safety blanket. You know what I mean? He gives you comfort as a coach to where he can get it done. Mm-hmm. Whatever we need him to do, he's a utility guy. And he does, his competitiveness and the moment is never too big for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I always say, cool heads win hot games. And we've been in a lot of those. Like the A&M game.
Yeah.
Just his ability to just go out and look, I'm about to make this play, period. And he went out and did it. And the thing I remember the most about that A&M game-winning touchdown Jeray had was that he applied a drill we worked that Wednesday at practice in order to get separation for the game-winning touchdown. A lot of guys, they go out there and like the drill work kind of just sinks by the wayside, but he's intentional. He applies it, and he trusts what's being taught and what we're teaching him.
Is that the most gratifying thing in coaching?
Yes.
That's got to be, right?
Yes.
I mean, just from an individualistic standpoint.
Yes, because it's so easy to just fall into bad habits. Especially when you're fatigued, you revert back to your habits, whether they're good habits or bad habits.
Yeah.
And it's so gratifying when you see the clear-cut application of what's being coached applied on the field in the heat of the battle in the biggest of moments.
Right. When they're probably not thinking, they're just playing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just reps on top of reps on top of reps just coming to fruition and being applied. And it's very gratifying as a coach.
BK was a trip yesterday in front of the room when he was asked about the quarterbacks. He said, we got a lot of them. And he said, if I'm going to leave a request box for everybody to kind of drop, or recommendation box by the door. Everybody drop your recommendation on who you think it should be. You got great competition at that spot. What'd you make of that?
The best QB room in the nation.
Yeah, that's what Denbrock said.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
100%. The stage is set for competition. Mm-hmm. I can't wait. I got a perfect seat for it. And the receivers, they don't have a favorite.
Yeah,
their favorite is the one who's throwing it to them.
Yeah,
so
right. 3 different favorites.
Right.
After going through 15 practices with them, does your group change the way they play with whoever's back there? I know that they don't care who it is; they'll make plays for everybody. But does it matter your rotation works on who's playing?
I don't think you're talking about during spring.
Just going into fall.
I don't think it changes. I think. Now, I will say this, Coach Mike is a master at just taking what he has and making it, catering to what the players can do, not just plugging in, what he wants to do. I mean, he really studies and schemes and says, hey, what's he good at? Well, that's what we're going to do. 12, 10 personnel, 11 personnel, whatever it is. Whatever is going to give us our best chances, that's what we're going to do. Whatever players we need to put on the field to have success, that's what we're going to do, and we'll work around them. So, in spring, it was it didn't matter who was out there. Yeah. We were running our stuff, and we were more so learning, what we had, and we were applying. I think spring was less about scheme and more about implementing Coach Kelly's style and culture and how we're going to practice and our process. And our pattern ways of thinking as we approach practice.
Yeah,
I think it was more about that than the actual scheme.
Yeah, you spent a decade with the Saints. You
Mm-hmm.
spent 8 with Sean Payton, and the early days, 06 NFC Championship, Reggie Bush flipping into the end zone days of the New Orleans Saints.
Pointing at Brian Urlacher.
It was fun to watch.
Oh my God!
What's crazy? We watched that play yesterday as a
it.
staff.
Really?
Yeah, because there's a technique. There's a rail route. There's a technique that we're implementing into our offense. And I was talking to Coach Mike. And that's the great thing about Coach Mike. He takes and accepts input from everybody.
Right.
You know, and so during our when the coach were on the road recruiting, some of the other analysts we did at projects and studies, and tried to figure out, hey, what are we good at? What's being done out there that directly applies to what we're trying to do offensively? And so I made like a little cut up or a reel of that rail route technique. Ugh. And that play just happened to be on there.
As soon as he turns the corner out of the backfield, he's wide open.
That's right, absolutely.
He's wide open.
So hopefully our running backs can implement that and kind of mirror that as
Before I
best as
get to the Saints, Emory had a great spring, and it seems like he's ready to bust out. When people ask me for a breakout player at LSU, I say, look, you know his name, but he's about to, I feel like, have a pro ready season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, you know, because I'm not in a running back room too much, but I love him as a person. I mean, he's he's bright eyed, wants to learn, enthusiastic about football, enthusiastic about class now. You know what I mean? He's starting to put it together and figure it out. The light bulb's going off, and that's the one thing about kids. You never know when that light bulb's going to go off, and it's going off for him, and he's excited, he's enthusiastic, and the things I've seen him do. I mean, he was cut short in spring due to injury. You know, I think he had an ankle at some point, and that hurt him. I mean, he was upset. He was broken up about it, and he made it back. You know, he had like a injury that was supposed to keep him out well past our spring game, and you know he hunkered down and said, "No, I'm gonna be ready for spring game." Yeah, and that's a testament to him. So we're expecting big things out of him. I mean, and so is he. Yeah, you know, he's poised to have a strong season, I believe.
Take me back to a young Sean Payton-led coaches meeting and what you learned from him during your time.
So I learned so much from him, and just personally, I just been blessed to be able to have worked with such great coaches. Yeah, and I try to pull from everybody. You know what I mean? As a coach, if you're a coach that thinks you know it all, then you're probably dead in the water. I mean, I always want to. Every coach I've worked for, I'll try to take a piece of, you know, what they do and, you know, what they did to be successful. One thing about Sean, I mean, he had a motor. You know what I mean? It was just, and he was an offensive genius. Yeah. And Pete Carmichael, geez, I mean, these guys have forgotten more football than, you know, a lot of us know. But one thing about the biggest impression I had about Coach Payton was that he was fair. And, you know, when guys came into a room, new draft class, first team meeting, when, you know, after the draft, you picked up your undrafted free agents, he used to always tell those guys, I don't care how you got here. All that is just laying assignments. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whether you were a first rounder or undrafted free agent. Yeah. Everybody will have a shot to play. Yeah. And if you prove that you can help us win games, you'll be here. Yeah. And it wasn't just lip service. It wasn't just something he spoke about. It happened. You know, you think about your Pierre Thomases, you know, your Marcus Colsons, who were all late guys, and those guys beat out draft picks. That's right. You know what I mean? And he believed that to the end. You know, and so that was one of the biggest takeaways from him, is just go off and trust your eyes and trust your evaluation. Nobody else's.
Was 2011 the best team?
Well,
without
09 was, right?
09, right.
That's what the results say.
They came away with the hardware. But, I mean, that offense was top 5 every year I was there, you know, and we had some really good teams. And in 11, you know, we had Sproles, we had Graham, Breeze. Yeah. You know, we had a good cast of characters. Yeah. And I still have nightmares about that about that
San
Francisco game.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I still see him turning the corner, running Alex
Smith
in that quarterback keeper.
Yeah, man.
How cool was it to be a New Orleanian in 2009 and be a part of the Saints coaching staff?
Man,
winning that Super Bowl. Can you even explain? That had to be.
It's so hard to explain.
I still see that parade of 2 million people in downtown.
You don't believe it's real. You don't believe it's going on. And I mean, during that run, you're so immersed in the work.
Yeah.
You're so ingrained in the day-to-day routine. This is what we're doing, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, you're just going through your game week and your preparation week. You lose sight of what you're in it for. Like, it's one day you look up and you're like, man, we're in the Super Bowl.
We got a chance to do something here.
Right. This is going to be real special. And it doesn't hit you. For me, at least, it didn't hit me until after the confetti was flying. Like, dang, we did this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, you know, bursts of emotion.
Yeah.
You know, you see your wife, you see your family, you see your mama come hug you, and you're like, dang, it's real.
Yeah.
You know, so every now and then you get little, you know, you got to pinch yourself, you know, while the run's going on. And I remember Mickey came to me and said, hey, man, you from New Orleans, you're going to need some extra tickets, aren't you? So he gave me the opportunity to get, like, you know, 12, 14, you know, more tickets. You're like, yeah, you the man of the people, so you're going to need all of these. You're going to need these. I remember that vividly.
It's great.
Where were you when Sean Payton, halftime, decides we're going to go ambush onside kick? What was, like, the feeling in the room? When did he kind of, like, decide? Did he tell everybody, or was it just, like, the special teams unit?
Yeah, practice.
No, he told everybody.
Right?
Yeah.
He told the offense, because we had in the Super Bowl, the halftime is longer than normal, and in the beginning of games you have your openers. You know, you have the first 10, 15 plays you're going to go out with. And, you know, Coach Payton said, well, look, we got a long halftime. We're going to go over another set of openers for halftime. We never done that before. So I'm doing my halftime routine, talking to receivers, all those things. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Openers. We about to kick the ball. Yeah. So then it hit me like, oh. We got something going. We got something up our sleeve.
Cooking.
And then, right. So all of a sudden, you know, we're getting the openers ready and all that stuff, and it happened. And we intentionally kicked the ball to our sideline so we could kind of persuade the refs a little bit, you know, and have that momentum going forward. But in the moment, it was a lot going on. I mean, it was hot.
It was.
Bullets were flying.
Oh,
Peyton
it was
is so good in that moment. This can't happen. This can't happen.
I need the ball back.
Yeah, this can't happen. He's like, it's so great. That's such a
juicy
great
fruit the
moment.
ball.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right. It was amazing.
What is this time like for a football coach? Where is your mind right now that camp is like? It seems like all the off-season work's kind of done, and you're gearing up for getting them in and getting them on the field. And now, you know, these have got to be long days for coaches, I'd imagine.
No, well, you're you know, you just finished kind of decompressing. You had a little time off. Got your battery recharged. So right now, we're just getting our plan together for camp. Getting our installation schedule together. Getting all our priority guys on campus, getting those arrangements set before the first hits, before the dead period hits. So the emphasis right now is recruiting until the dead period hits, and preparing and getting ready to gear up for camp. You know, getting the schedules together, logistics, where they're going to stay, where they're going to eat, you know, how we're going to eat, what that looks like, getting the buses together. So that's the main emphasis right now, just gearing up for a good first camp.
What are the expectations for the young guys coming in? I love Landon Ibieta at Mandeville. I think that he'll have a real good opportunity just with his speed alone. But your room is so loaded, jam-packed with talent. Where do these young guys fit in, or what is the expectation around the new faces?
I think the expectation for a young guy like a Landon Ibieta is just hit the ground running and, you know, play within yourself. You know, learn, and I mean, because you got catching up to do physically and mentally. Immerse yourself in that playbook and what we're doing. If you need help with something, be sure to ask. Open your mouth, because we're going to move fast. Because we got the greatest support staff in football, if you ask me. So you need to use it, you know, across the board. So I expect him to. He's one of those seen, not heard guys. You know, he comes around, sits down, observes, sees what's going on. Now I think he's going to be a great addition, and he's doing all the right things right now. He's right where he needs to be. He's settling into that X position that we have, that field outside receiver. He's going to play a little slot as well.
Wow.
So we feel good about where we are with him. He's been tremendous.
Does he have a chance to be a specialist, return guy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think so. I don't want to speak for Coach Polian,
right,
but I think
right.
he has plans for him as far as whether that be as a returner, gunner position, force a fair catch, with the speed that he has. And we expect guys to contribute. That's one of Coach Hankton's charges when he walked in the room. Hey, you need to play special teams, because he was that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he knows the importance of having special teams value.
Yeah. Everybody comes in here and talks about how cool it is to work for Denbrock. What's your point of view of working with Coach Mike?
It's amazing. Like I alluded to earlier, he allows his coaches to coach. He accepts input and values input and asks for it. He keeps it light in the room, but he knows when to, all right, look, we got work to do. He knows when to hunker down and get the grinding. He sees the big picture. You know what I mean? He's ready to take on whatever challenges are presented as they come. Because as you can imagine, day to day, so many things come up, things pop up. It's a big SEC program, and you need to be able to adjust and adapt.
Yeah.
And I think he does that as good as anybody.
What do you make of the league? What is your point of view of the SEC? What is it like every week just preparing in it? They're
so good, man. There's no easy win. It's just like the NFL. Like, everybody's like, oh, y'all got the Jets this week. They get paid over that too.
That's right.
So it's
they all got drafted. They're all pros.
That's it, man. And it's the same with the SEC. Especially in the West. And not just on the field. Recruiting. When it comes to going head to head with some of these top teams, you got to have a plan. You got to have you got to be on one accord. You got to have a great plan of attack to how you're going to combat whatever they throw at you, however they attack you, and you got to have a counter. You know what I mean? Because they're going to adjust as well. Mm-hmm. And so and I love the chess match, and I know our entire staff does too. They love the challenge and the competition, and we all embrace that. And but there's no easy wins. I think it's going to be tough, but I believe we could do it. I think Coach Kelly's way of preparing his team, starting with the mental, is so important. That's something that I've my first time being a part or being with the head coach that approached the mental side of football first, and the importance of that, because everybody's going to be big, they're going to be strong, they're going to be fast, but where's your edge? How do you separate yourself from team B, team C, and Coach Kelly believes it's up here. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's shown. He has a resume full of evidence that shows that that's effective, and that's the way to go. Thank you for your time this morning. Thanks for having me, man. Absolutely. Time flew by, man. Yeah, man, that was cool, man. That was a lot of cool storytelling and reminiscing and looking into the future. It's going to be fun to watch that wide receiver group play, man. I can't wait. I'm at my popcorn already. You going 5 wide, huh? Man, hey, listen. If that's the best, he go put the best on the field. Mike D go put the best on the field, and we'll adjust to that. But the beautiful thing is, you can. I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I believe that.
Well, and you talked about Denbrock being like, you take something from everybody in the room a little bit, and that's what obviously you were part of. The Saints, whenever Joe Brady, a lot was made of that 2019 offense. Like, are you able to kind of take some of those same elements from Sean Payton, like you mentioned, watching the Saints Bears? Like, is he kind of looking like maybe a little bit to you because of your time with Sean Payton? Like, hey, give me whatever you got, give it to me.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm an open book, and I have just days and weeks of film of how we did this. How did you attack this coverage? How did you get one-on-one? How did you create a one-on-one matchup with this guy? And I have just a whole bunch of footage of how that's done. And if there's something I've done in the past that fits what Coach Mike's looking for, or that fits what we do in our identity as an offense, then I'll pull it out. Hey, Coach, look, we run this play. We ran it this way, and I think that's an easy wrinkle to add, because, you don't want to overload guys mentally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, the easy ads that already fit what you do and your identity as an offense, that, you know, the better.
Because what Emory can do on offense, there's a lot of shades of what Sean Payton looked for in every running back he's ever had. Like, you have to be able to catch it out the backfield, be able to split out.
That's
right.
right.
So I'd imagine that some of those plays are like, this is perfect for 4.
Absolutely.
Joe Brady, I remember, said Emory's rookie year in 2019, the only year Brady was here, that he reminded him of a young Alvin Kamara, just his versatility. You know, not that he was that good, but it just his capability. You can do a lot of stuff with him.
I could believe that. During the bowl week, so we were preparing for the bowl, and Emory was ineligible. Well, he couldn't play, but he could practice. So we used him on scout team. And, hey, go line up in the slot, run this. And I'm looking whoa. Can he come in the receiver room? You know what I mean? And just the versatility he has, you just line him up, just tell him what to do, and he's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's impressive to watch. You know, it's the stuff I've seen John do in practice. I can't wait for y'all to see it. You know, hopefully you will see it this season. Hopefully
next week, baby, it's here.
It's
Football season is here. Coach Carter Sheridan with a extended time with us here on this Thursday morning. Cool insight, cool stories. Thank you for your time. Look forward to having him back in here. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Appreciate it.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
I was excited to come to a top level program. I've been at a lot of great places, been very fortunate in my career, but to really say that you have an opportunity every year, once we get it rolling, to win a national championship, there's not very many places that you can say that. So for him to offer me the opportunity to come with him to LSU was nothing but you know, humility and gratitude. Some Sunday players in that room. But again, you know, it's got to be the total package, the total process of buy-in, of understanding what we're trying to get done, of figuring out how we want it to get done, but also allowing those guys to be able to play with instincts. For example, I think Jay Ward is long and athletic. He's very versatile. He's played corner, played nickel, played safety. Very excited about, you know, Joe Fouché, one of the transfer guys that we came in because he has a dimension of physicality. Major Burns, you know, fortunate enough that he was able to come back home. You know, again, he's long, he's athletic, so he gives you flexibility between both field and boundary safeties. And then you've got some guys that you can throw in like Brooks, Sage, Derek Davis. Todd Harris is a guy that's been around for a while. So I think that we have enough in that room to be successful. But again, you still want to continue to grow and be able to push these points.
Yeah, well, I think it starts here, you know, and we have a good bit of people on this particular staff who are from Louisiana, who know and believe in our hearts that this place produces the best football players in the country, you know, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. Per capita, produce the most NFL players, you know what I mean? So even from an analytical standpoint, it makes sense to take the kids from here because the chances of them playing in the league are higher than if they come from anywhere else. I think our brand is super powerful, so we will have to recruit at a national level, or there's really no reason that we shouldn't, you know what I mean? Because if we can get a top player from another state who can help us win a championship, then of course, right? But I think it starts right here in Louisiana and then right here in Baton Rouge. You know, there's some really good players who are still available that are right here in Baton Rouge.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Sports with it.
It's just like anything else. I mean, I don't want to get into hyperbole, but it's, everything is. I mean, frankly, I'm still worried more about concussions. We don't talk about it much anymore, but, we've kind of helped solve it in a lot of ways and make the game a lot safer. So anytime we have existential threats, which this one could or could not be, we just deal with it, and we will deal with it. It's just part of the game. And, I don't mind a lot of what's come out of this movement of doing more for the student athletes, but like anything else, it boomerangs a little too far, and you got to swing it back into, hey, what we do for the student athletes, and it's a hell of a lot, and I'm proud of that fact that we are leaders in doing that, but we're going to do it right. The Tiger Athletic Foundation and in partnership, obviously, hand in hand with what we do, funded a master plan study because I wanted to see, hey, what we needed, and I just didn't want my opinion. I've been a few places, and I have a good one, I think, but you just want to see how and what our needs are, and so we're in that process of looking at it, and obviously the PMAC is 50 years old this year, and probably needs some updating. It's got good bones, and maybe we can see what we can do with that. Same thing with all that property that we have both down Nicholson and where we are currently on Nicholson and North Stadium. Is that, hey, is this the proper use and best use for that? And hand in hand with the university and what we do with TAF, we'll make those decisions, and we'll be prudent and thinking about what and how we do. Yeah, it's kind of weird in a perverse way, Jordy. You know me well, is that I kind of relish in change, and I do like it. I'm one of the few people that embraces it, and we're very lucky at LSU to have it, to be where we are and to be able to do that. I mean, I can't say that for everyone in the business because it is unsettling in a lot of ways. But for us, change is a good thing, and I think we're going to be the beneficiary of it. And it's not gonna stop. It's just going to keep on going. Yeah. And I'd be lying to you if I told you I had a crystal ball and can tell you what was going on and what's going to happen. But we're going to be here, and we're going to embrace it, and we're going to take advantage of it the best we can.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Ghost Chevrolet. Live here on this Thursday morning, catching a stretch.
Felice spray has us out of our minds a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Is that what you're blaming it on?
Welcome to my world. Yeah. I feel great.
So many things to choose from, and you go chemicals on fleece spray.
Chemicals, right?
SNL.
Yeah. Sheldon was in here yesterday, y'all. Our fleas aren't gone yet.
And it turns out it's
Sheldon's
much.
going to take care of it.
Yeah, it turns out I thought it was a small flea problem. It was like, oh no, this is. He goes, this is a bigger deal.
No,
This is an
Carter.
okay.
No, he laid the ground with Sheldon. Laid the groundwork
for us.
He told
us it was very tricky.
He said he did.
And
He got to set himself up for a little success story.
Yeah,
he was just in here a minute ago.
Probably won't get it the first time, boys.
Yeah, just let you know.
Okay,
You might see me a couple times.
All right.
Well, he put some rodent traps out, but he was just here and nothing's in the trap. So, like for rats.
Did he go upstairs? Did he go into the attic?
He did.
He did.
Oh.
He said there's no sign of
Joe got all the
anything
rats.
living up there. What did he do with them?
He's got to eat something.
Maybe it is Joe.
Yeah.
So shout out to Sheldon, SNL Pest Control. Sheldon and Lisa, they've been great.
Good stuff from Carter Sheridan. We appreciate him stopping in here. From Carter Sheridan, former New Orleans Saint offensive analyst. We go down to Saints camp with the best. Nick Underhill from NewOrleans.football. Pay attention to Underhill on social media. My guy is making moves. You can see him. He's doing daily hits from the parking lot. They are sponsored by our guy, Matt Bowers, who's a great dude. And Nikki's doing great stuff, man. If you are not a subscriber to NewOrleans.football, what the hell are you doing with your life
Nikki.
as a Saints fan?
Does he like you to call him Nikki?
I don't know if he does or not. I don't know if he
I
does
bet he
or not.
doesn't.
Nick, good morning. How are you?
Hey, doing well. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing good. I freaked out earlier this week on the news on Mike Thomas. I freaked out on the news on Mike Thomas that he was starting on the PUP list. Then I freaked out yesterday, Nick, by seeing him on the practice field. My man looked like a Ferrari. How good did Mike Thomas look, and what was it like seeing him out there back at work?
Well, I mean, hey, you should be reading more stories on the site, man, because we were telling people that he was going to be out there very, very early. And day one was a target. And, you know, it's just you kind of got to be careful about how you say that stuff. But that was the plan all along. In those videos, the progression throughout the summer, saw him kind of leading up into that. And he looked good yesterday, man. Like, if this was a 2020 day one practice before, you know, that coming back from the injury or before the injury, rather, like, I don't think that anyone would have looked at it and thought anything about how Mike was moving. He looked like Mike. He was cutting well. He caught the ball well. There was one drop, and, you know, he screams out and runs the same route 4 times in a row to get it right after that. Like, he looked like his normal competitive self. He moved well, and, you know, there's still a ways to go, but I feel like he's in a pretty good place. I mean, yesterday was kind of took the edge off of that situation, just kind of seeing him out there and seeing how well he was moving.
I mean, the Concord 11's on, the 10 advisor, the attitude, number 30 looked great out there. Jameis Winston, the quarterback, as well, looked very fit.
Yes, he did.
Meeting with the media after that. How did you take away day one of training camp of Winston?
Him too. I think he's progressing really well in that injury. He was doing some bootlegs, running, moving around a little bit. During minicamp and OTAs, he didn't do some of those things. So there's a progression there. The ball was coming out, I think, down the field a little bit better, just because he probably had a little bit more drive in his leg, pushing off, throwing. You know, I like everything I see from Jameis right now. We're gonna have to see it in the season. You know, obviously he's got to keep making good decisions and all that, but everything we see from him, I mean, it just really seems like he's stepping into that role of being a leader, making the team his, putting his identity on the offense. And, you know, last year he wasn't able to do that stuff, competing with Taysom Hill. It was kind of, you know, back and forth and trying to figure out where you fit in. And, you know, I even think that he's just in a situation to grow more in the offense, just knowing that it is his team and that, you know, obviously you aren't trying to make mistakes. You're putting yourself into situations where you can make a mistake, but I think you can test the limits of things a little bit more if you aren't so afraid of, you know, what's an interception going to do to me in this race with Taysom Hill to be the starting quarterback. So I just think he's in a much better situation, and I think you just see it in how he's carrying himself and you know, kind of making it his team now.
Before we get into this season's first-round picks, take me back to last year's first-round selection in Peyton Turner. He's back on the field. What did you make of day one of camp for him, and what is the expectation on Turner here in year two?
I think he's going to be a solid player. The first game last year against Carolina, like some of the stuff he was doing, there was a decent understanding of how to rush the passer, how to put stuff together. Like there was one play, like I think he got a sack on a spin move, and then like he set up the offensive tackle with the spin move, and then like cut into like a different pass rush move to beat him for a second pressure. So I mean, there was some stuff he was doing very early on last year that showed maybe he wasn't quite as raw as everybody thought he was going to be. You know, not being on the field for, you know, 7-8 months, whatever it was, with that shoulder injury, I don't think that helps your development. But I think, you know, just still being able to sit in the classroom, be around Cam Jordan, be around, you know, Ryan Nielsen and taking it in and just kind of learning why things are being done, that's going to help him. Yesterday, he looked pretty good. I mean, there was only like maybe 6 snaps that he was on the field for. They didn't do a whole lot of stuff in the first practice, but he got back there, had a sack on, I think it was Ian Book. So, I mean, there's some stuff that he's doing already that's making you notice him. And, you know, I think it's important. You know, at some point they got to make a decision on what to do with Marcus Davenport. Yeah. Cam Jordan's getting older. You know, your first round pick, theoretically, like he's there to take over one of those starting jobs at some point. And if, you know, it could be for either one of those guys. But if he plays well, I think making those decisions becomes easier too. Like if he has a bad season and you're staring down the barrel and you got Cam Jordan, Peyton Turner isn't playing well, Marcus Davenport's a free agent. Now you got to pay that money. I mean, I think you're forced into it instead of making the decision of like, okay, does this fit and what's it worth for us? I think there's pressure on that situation. So I think there's a huge importance for this guy to get playing well and to play up to that draft status.
2 overall first-round picks this past spring. They take Chris Olave early on in the first round and then Tyler Penning late in the first round. What have you made of the 2 first-round selections after seeing them day one?
So, yeah, I mean, like my hot take right now would be that, like, Chris Olave is probably going to, definitely have a huge impact. I don't know if Penning's going to have the same impact. I think that they're really comfortable with James Hurst starting at left tackle coming out of it. There's obviously the doors open for Trevor Penning to win that job and be the starter. But I think that the learning curve is going to be steep for him. And I think that, they're looking at it like, okay, like year 2, is he going to be ready for it? I mean, he has all the athletic traits. He's really strong. I just think that there's a lot of learning that he needs to do. And again, that can happen quickly. And the ideal outcome is for him to win the job. Olave, though, man, he looks like he just looks like the guy. Like he moves well. He's very different, like just in the type of movement. Like you guys have been out at these practices, like LSU and that, like when there's someone that's like a super gifted athlete, like they just look different than everybody else around them. And this is like a field of gifted athletes. He's one of those guys. I think there's aspects of his game that I think that, there's a possibility that like he could be the yards leader for this team at the end of the season, just because I think that his game fits Jameis's game so well. And like, there's going to be some home run plays. And if they hit on a handful of those, like you get chunk yardage. I think he's going to be that guy for the offense. I think he's going to be really, really good. And, having Mike Thomas and Jarvis Landry to take coverage off you, like I think he's just really set up to have, a really good rookie season.
Damn, it's wild what they've done at the receiver spot. I mean, it feels like just weeks ago you were curious on how they were going to get production there. Now you're looking at Mike Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and a first overall pick or a first-round pick in Chris Olave, and even guys like, Marquez Callaway that are still there. That has become a very deep room.
Yeah, it's crazy. You look back to, a year ago and Kevin White and, Kenny Stills, like the turnover is been crazy. And it's not just like they remade the room. Like they remade the room with like 3 number 1 guys. And, I think Jarvis is going to be the steal of the offseason. It's like unbelievable. They got him for $3 million. Like he looks really good out there. I know he was hurt a little bit last year, but I see right away, like he looks like someone that's going to put up decent numbers and be a big part of this offense. And like, I'm shocked they got him for the money they got him for, but everything around Jameis Winston is there. Like every single piece, like he couldn't be in a better situation at wide receiver. I think there's still big questions at tight end that need to be answered, but they're set up for success on offense. And yeah, I think the receivers are going to be the identity of the team this year. I think we're going to see more 3 receiver personnel than we've probably ever seen. Like, I don't think they've ever hit 60% of their snaps with 3 receivers on the field. I think there's a chance that happens this year just because of the way the team's built and how good these guys are and, who the quarterback is. So, yeah, I think they're going to, if they want to spread it out and narrow it out, like they got the guys to do it.
They're paying Taysom Hill as a high-end tight end at $10 million a year. Can he handle that role?
I think that maybe like look, the thing with him, he's always gotten a lot of money and like there's things to prove. Like at some point, like the money and the proof does have to align. The athletic ability is obviously there. Like he blocks well as a quarterback, coming out and just kind of, BSing his way through it. And this is how it looked on tape. So that's how I'm going to go on the field and do it. Same thing with how he like ran his routes and played the position. Now he's actually studying it, trying to be a real tight end. It's possible. I think the athletic traits are there. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that doubts him in an athletic competition. Like, I think there's a chance he figures everything out. It's just, how much does he embrace it and how fast can he pick it all up and all the nuances and all that stuff. But look, that position's so wide open that it's there for him to take it. Like anybody on that depth chart, Adam Troutman, Nick Van Ette, Jawan Johnson, Lucas Kroll, like any one of these guys, like, there's no one that's cemented at the top of the hill there. So I think he could do it. I mean, there's a chance the traits are all there. It just has to come together for him.
Marcus May out there yesterday, clear for camp. How did what was the takeaway day one?
Yeah, he looks good. He's a fluid mover. You know, I'm excited to see when Tyron gets back out there what those two look like and how it's going to come together and start to see like that interchangeability between the two guys and how dynamic it's going to be. Look, I think it's going to be a lot different how they play at safety this year, defense overall. Like last few years since 2017, cover one, single high safety, man underneath. That was their main coverage. And that's dictated by the players they had. You got Marcus Williams, who has this range that's just, you know, maybe tops in the league. So that's what you kind of play to. I think now we're going to see more two safety looks where these guys are, you know, one's dropping down, one's going deep. They can do a lot of different things. But we got to see that communication come together and the chemistry between those two. And, you know, there was a little bit, you know, OTAs, minicamp, they were on the field just a little bit during the walkthrough portion of the practice because May had the injury. Now he's out there full go. He's running well. He looks good. You know, I think he's going to be a good pickup for the team. And I don't know if they'll be better at safety, but yeah, I think they're going to be a lot more dynamic. And I think Tyron and May are going to kind of be like the identity overall of the defense because I think a lot of stuff's just going to kind of feed off of how they play and, you know, them being all over the field. So I think it's going to be kind of exciting to see what they do. I think it's going to look a lot different. And you know, I think it's just going to maybe be like a more fun brand of football.
Timeline on the Badger? Any expectations on getting him back?
You know, I have no idea what's going on there. They excused him for a personal family matter. When things are worded like that, I try to kind of, you know, be respectful and leave it alone. Like personal family matter kind of seems like don't poke around in that. So, you know, I'm leaving it alone for the next few days. You know, if this goes into next week, I think we got to start trying to figure out what's going on. So, yeah, I'm not sure when he'll be back.
Real quick, one position group that looks like it's got some numbers and could have some talent emerge here early in camp is linebacker. What have you made of that group?
Yeah, they got Eric Wilson playing behind Pete Werner. Pete Werner's nursing a non-football injury right now. He was out on the field yesterday working out to the side. So I think, you know, I don't think he's too far away from practicing. But I think Eric Wilson might be a decent pickup for them as a depth player. Zach Bond, you know, it's the do or die season for him. He's got to figure it out, or he's going to be sitting next to Lloyd there with you guys doing something else. But this is kind of the season for him.
The commissioner's exempt list if he does that.
You know, Caden Ellis is someone else too that you know keeps getting better, and I think that you know he's going to be really good at that Sam linebacker spot. But yeah, I think Eric Wilson's someone that people need to, you know, be a little bit aware of. And then DeMarco Jackson, the rookie, yesterday, he tipped the pass in practice and nearly caused an interception. So, you know, that was a good sign for him, too. So I think they got a couple players there. You know, a couple things need to emerge. But yeah, I think they'll be all right.
Social media looks great, man. It's easy to keep up with what you got going on at NewOrleans.football. But for those out there that don't know where to find you, where can they get you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Nick_Underhill. NOF Network is our company page, and New Orleans Football on Instagram.
It looks fantastic, man. Keep up the great work. Thanks for looking out for my boy Ronnie down there too.
Yeah, Ron's killing it out here, man.
Appreciate it, Nicky. There is Nick Underhill from NewOrleans.football. Get your subscription today. If you are an NFL fan, if you are a Saints fan, Nick has got the best, man. He's got the best information, the best relationships down there. All of what he is putting out is premium content, and they've really stepped it up from a social media standpoint. They're doing live hits in the parking lots after Saints camp, giving you reviews and giving you updates on what's going on down there. Edward Jones is our financial advisor down here over at the Jordy Culotta Show. Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman, daniel.newman at edwardjones.com, daniel.newman at edwardjones.com to pick up your financial advice. He's located out in Market Square Arena over in Central. You can get in touch with Edward Jones and Daniel Newman today by emailing him, daniel.newman at edwardjones.com, daniel.newman at edwardjones.com. Quick first hour and 15 minutes of the show. We'll come back and get into some discussion here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
What happened to Quan Alexander?
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
I was excited to come to a top level program. I've been at a lot of great places, been very fortunate in my career, but to really say that you have an opportunity every year, once we get it rolling, to win a national championship, there's not very many places that you can say that. So for him to offer me the opportunity to come with him to LSU was nothing but humility and gratitude. Some Sunday players in that room. But again, it's got to be the total package, the total process of buy-in, of understanding what we're trying to get done, of figuring out how we want it to get done, but also allowing those guys to be able to play with instincts. For example, I think Jay Ward is long and athletic. He's very versatile. He's played corner, played nickel, played safety. Very excited about Joe Fouché, one of the transfer guys that we came in because he has a dimension of physicality. Major Burns. Fortunate enough that he was able to come back home. Again, he's long, he's athletic, so he gives you flexibility between both field and boundary safeties. And then you've got some guys that you can throw in like Brooks, Sage, Derek Davis. Todd Harris is a guy that's been around for a while. So I think that we have enough in that room to be successful. But again, you still want to continue to grow and be able to push each point.
Yeah, well, I think it starts here, and we have a good bit of people on this particular staff who are from Louisiana, who know and believe in our hearts that this place produces the best football players in the country, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. Per capita, produce the most NFL players, you know what I mean? So even from an analytical standpoint, it makes sense to take the kids from here because the chances of them playing in the league are higher than if they come from anywhere else. I think our brand is super powerful, so we will have to recruit at a national level, or there's really no reason that we shouldn't, you know what I mean? Because if we can get a top player from another state who can help us win a championship, then of course, right? But I think it starts right here in Louisiana and then right here in Baton Rouge. There's some really good players who are still available that are right here in Baton.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team.
make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
Best athlete to come out of New Iberia, Mark Roman?
Kayshawn Booty.
Kayshawn? Wow.
Right now, Kayshawn, Mark was a little bit before me. I was a ball boy. When Mark was playing at New Iberia Senior High School, I played like right after Mark. But Kayshawn has done some things, and just the things that you guys are seeing Kayshawn do, that he's not even scratching the surface of what we saw on a day-to-day basis at practice. He's unreal. He's unreal.
He's so natural. It's so so easy. It looks so easy to him.
Yes, it's so easy, and there's never been another a competitor I've ever seen like Kayshawn. Kayshawn would not lose going to eat pregame meal. He has to be the first. He is the ultimate competitor. He would not lose. So trust me, he will be ready.
Jeez, he just pulled a groin. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. We got, man, it's been a great morning here. We had Carter Sheridan come through here, spent about 45 minutes. Coach Carter talking about his days with the Saints, days with Sean Payton, here with LSU, that wide receiver room, some of the expectations. Even got into a little Landon Ibieta talk of a new face in a very crowded room. And now our friend Sammy Spiegelman is in town, and we've been telling him the next time he gets through Baton Rouge, he had to stop in studio. He is in town today doing a local story, and he's in studio with us now. It is great to see our friend Sammy Spiegelman. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Recruiting right now. Before we get into it, we had Coach Carter Sheridan in early, and we talked about Landon Ibieta. And look, that wide receiver room at LSU is as crowded as any in the SEC in college football. And if Kayshawn's right, he might be the best player at that spot in the country. How do you analyze Landon going into that room, and what can he realistically accomplish in year one?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, Kayshawn is obviously the headliner of that group. He's a first-round pick. I was going through some old videos of him. I mean, I used to think that he was going to play DB.
I saw that.
Because Corey Raymond was recruiting him originally. And heck, kind of like Smitty, I think he could have been a first-round pick on either side of the ball. But behind him, the receiver getting all the hype this offseason has been Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
We know what Jack Betch did last year. And behind then, Bryant Thomas. And then, you throw in guys like Landon, who Landon was, he was Mr. Everything for Mandeville. And I think that he probably should have had an LSU offer about 6 months before he did. He tore up LSU camp last June. I know Mickey Joseph was close to offering him. The way that the state was so loaded at the top with Chaz Preston and Aaron Anderson and Kendrick Law, they kind of had their hands tied with, what to do within the state, because, we can't offer someone in state unless you're ready to take their commitment. But Landon earned that offer last summer. I think it's going to take a while to adjust, obviously to playing in the SEC. Sure. Now, a lot of these other receivers like Malik and Jack wasted no time transitioning. So, obviously Landon could get there, but there's so many guys ahead of him that have just been there, like Kayshawn and Malik and Jack, that he'll make his way to the field, probably start with special teams, and he'll work his way into that rotation down the road.
From last season's one of the top wide receivers in the state to this season's top receiver in the state, Shelton Sampson feels like things are starting to really kind of come to a head for him. What do you see his timeline, and how do you feel about where he sits in the process?
Yeah, I'm excited for Shelton because he's finally healthy. He's battled injuries for the last 2 years, and I don't want to say his stock has dropped, but people are anxious to see what he does as a senior, and I think he's in store for a really big senior year. About 6'4", a little over 190. He's really bulked up, and I think he's maturing a lot. I think Catholic is going to throw the ball a little bit more, so I think he's going to have a chance to shine a little bit with Daniel Beal at quarterback, who's a name to know. But I think he's getting close to a decision. I reported yesterday that there's some optimism. He's at LSU this weekend, maybe just to stay high, stop by. He is set to go to College Station, which is expected to be his last visit. After that, they'll come home, kind of gather their thoughts. They're going to choose between LSU, FSU, Alabama, and A&M. I think FSU might be LSU's biggest threat at this point. We'll see what A&M does over this weekend.
Gabe Fertitta's done a tremendous job, huh?
Gabe Fertitta, Mike Norvell, and David Johnson, Alex Atkins, who's now their offensive coordinator. It's a really close group, and the biggest thing with Shelton is, he's an introverted personality. He reminds me so much of Little Sting. And the way that the FSU has gone about recruiting him, kind of the quiet confidence, it's gone a long way. And I think that this weekend will determine a lot with A&M, and they got a lot of familiar faces on that staff. But I still think that, LSU has a good amount of confidence, and they're hopeful that he stops by at some point.
David Johnson was Tyrann Matthews' head coach at St. Aug, and is now the wide receivers coach at Florida State, who's doing a really good job of making an imprint wherever he is, of coming back to Louisiana and making it tough on anybody that's going up against him in recruiting. Jaden Alsbury is another local that feels like he's starting to kind of figure out the process. Where is he at? And I know that he had a very eventful summer. He had a very well-traveled summer.
Yeah, way more eventful than I think we would have anticipated. He got 4 of his OVs done. He was saving his 5th for the season, which he still might take. But I think that he's moving toward making a decision on August 4th. Notre Dame has kind of surfaced as the favorite for Jaden is so tight-lipped about this stuff. Yeah. But in talking to people close to him, the relationships and the longevity that they've been recruiting him. Al Washington recruited him at Ohio State, then he joined Marcus Freeman's staff. Freeman was recruiting him for Notre Dame as a defensive coordinator, now as the head coach at Notre Dame, and he's been recruiting at probably one of the highest levels of any head coach in the country right now. We used to talk about Lincoln Riley and Coach O that way, but now I think Marcus Freeman has kind of taken over in that respect, and I think he's doing a good job with Jaden. That's not to say that his recruitment will be completely over with after August 4th, but I think he's moving toward that decision. I think Notre Dame has built a strong foundation, but I think that LSU and I think Alabama will still recruit him a little bit.
Big offensive lineman out of Edna Carr. Is it Tyree Jones? Out of New Orleans, that's coming. Tyree Adams, that's coming in this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He and Zalance Hurd, obviously the two top offensive linemen in the state. Before we get to Hurd, who feels like he's starting to figure it out. Where are they on Jones? It feels like they really are, or excuse me, Adams, it feels like they're really liking him.
Yeah, all signs point to LSU being kind of a clear front runner here, but the SEC has not given up on him. At different points, Alabama has been pushing for him. Georgia has been pushing for him. Texas A&M has been pushing for him, and Ole Miss is trying to get him on campus this weekend. He might stop at Ole Miss on Saturday potentially, but he is set to return to Baton Rouge, and that Frank Wilson is turning up the heat on him. Brad Davis is turning up the heat on him. We all know about Lance Hurd, and he might be close to popping as well. But LSU was really hopeful to have Adams in the bag. But by the time his senior season starts, let him focus on that. He already has his Alabama OV scheduled for October. So they're hopeful to kind of get rid of some of that aspect of his recruitment, have him shut it down. I think he's closer than people realize, and I think LSU should have some confidence.
What is this time like in recruiting? Is it kind of a mad dash to get it done before camp, or what?
It's a little bit of everything because if you're depending on the who you are, you might be sick of recruiting at this point.
Yeah.
A lot of the high profile kids are either about to announce right now before their senior season. You saw 5-star Caleb Downs do it. You think about 5-star Shelton Sampson thinking about doing it. Jaden Ausberry, a top 100 kid, just sick of recruiting at this point. And kids that are really serious, I think, want to focus on not only their senior seasons but winning a state championship because that's the best way to end it. Some kids just aren't ready. We saw how Jacoby Matthews was. He just wasn't ready to make that commitment at that stage. Schools get in the if you miss on one target, another school might pick up the heat, and then that school might be Alabama, it might be A&M, it might be LSU. You never know how these things go with recruiting. So I think that a lot of kids are still hopeful to catch a good game this year. You'll go to LSU, Alabama, go to Alabama, Texas A&M, get a feel for the environment, then maybe have a decision toward the end of their senior year. But I think that it's just becoming a rarity. I think that's 15% of the kids at this point, the 4 and 5 stars.
You are as accessible in this game as we have in this area. You are on the ground at these 7-on-7s and camps and meeting these people all over the country. Last week at SEC Media Days, one of the numbers that jumped out to me in recruiting was that Kirby Smart in Georgia took 0 transfers out of the portal this year, which to me told me that he looked in his locker room and said, we're better than everybody. We don't need anybody. What has he done since landing in Athens to kind of, is he mirroring what he saw in Tuscaloosa, and how dominant are they right now in recruiting?
Well, just to use a local example, what we've seen through the transfer portal with LSU kind of, rebuilding their secondary. That was out of need. They needed reinforcements in the back end of their defense. You saw that when Lincoln Riley got to USC, he took a ton of his Oklahoma players at skill position players, receivers, DBs, linemen. They brought him all, obviously his quarterback. Georgia's been recruiting, if not the number 1 class in the country, the number 2 or 3 since Kirby's gotten there. They are competing for recruiting national championships every single year, which was why it's been a long-running joke in the recruiting side of things that they sign the number 1 class and then they never do anything on the field. They get to the SEC championship game or the playoff, and that's it.
The first time they did it, they threw a parade.
Yeah.
With Matthew Stafford and AJ Green.
There you go.
Yeah. In August.
You're right. It never added up, right, to recruit at that high of a level and not see it translate. So for it to finally translate, you're seeing they have the depth. I mean, you talk about what they just lost in the draft. You're talking about multiple guys in the first round from that front 7 alone, and they have more in the cupboard. So I get it. They don't need to go out and use the transfer. That's for immediate help. Now, maybe they will for quarterback because they don't have a quarterback in their 2023 class after missing on Arch. They don't really have a plan B right there. So that might be an area where they use the transfer portal. But the way that they've recruited, they have depth on depth on depth at all these key positions, and just keep the motor running.
Nicholas Harbor is a name that has come up and has tipped the curiosity of a lot of LSU fans. It seems like he is high on LSU, and then you look at his tape, and he is a freak.
He's a mythical creature. He's a great guy.
He looks like an alien, bro.
Right.
Where is he in recruiting, and how realistic is LSU an option here?
He's a 5-star because one day when he goes to the NFL Combine, he's going to light it up, and first general managers and scouts are going to
Miles Garrett.
They're going to lose their mind when they see this kid. I mean, this kid might be competing in the Olympics in a couple of years. Football might be a second opportunity for him. LSU is certainly in it amongst the out-of-state teams. They're really at or close to the top. The one school that I keep hearing with him, and because of where he is, and maybe a little bit with that Olympic background, is Maryland. And Coach Loxley, who's been in this game for a long time, and he's from the DMV area, has we saw what he did with was it Raheem Jarrett, the 5-star that was committed to LSU for the longest, 100% locked in, but. Same way with talking about Kelvin Joseph or Derek Stingley. Eventually, the hometown team is always in it, and if they can get the right click at the right time, you can get a kid to stay home. And I think that'll be the biggest issue with LSU. Now, we've talked about this with LSU and the staff with Coach Kelly, is they have national appeal. So they have influence with guys like Cortez Hankton, who comes from the national champs, and they've gone into Baltimore and have a commitment from a top 100 edge in Deshaun Womack. So they can go into the DMV. It's certainly possible. It's certainly feasible. It's just a matter of, what is Nicholas Harbor really into in his recruitment, and what factors will come into play.
Right. How much does LSU having like a top-rate track and field team play a part?
It's a great selling point. Obviously, you look at what guys like Kerry Vincent have done, and Dante Jackson before him. It's an easy sell. LSU has that in way better than a lot of other programs around the country.
We brought up Zalance Hurd, big offensive lineman from Neville. He's had a very eventful summer. I know you saw him work out at LSU and were very impressed by the week that he had there. How close is he to announcing?
Depending on who you ask, it could be by the end of the month. We're deep into July. I think it's more of a waiting game. He went to Florida yesterday and visited with Coach Napier. Left with an offer. He's at Florida State today. Coach Atkins has been recruiting him since he was the O-line coach at FSU. I went to see him during his spring game. FSU it sounded like a team with a lot of momentum. They just hadn't get him on campus, and he's visited Nebraska. That's probably been the team that's giving LSU its biggest run for the money with what they have building over there, and then obviously Mickey Joseph being up there. LSU still feels good. I think Florida State has some growing. We'll see how this visit goes, but decision might not be far off. I think he wants to have this done. I think his mind is pretty close to being made up. Just a matter of figuring out some minor details.
24 seems to be picking up steam. The class of 24 is picking up steam. We had Tavion Galloway on after his commitment on Monday morning. He committed over the weekend to LSU. A big tight end out of Ohio. Man, it's crazy to think of his numbers as a sophomore and his size where he is now. And he's got 2 years left in high school football. What'd you make of the Galloway commitment, and how do you see that class starting to firm up?
Galloway was on campus in June, and I thought he was a 2023 kid. He's gigantic. He's how you build that kind of kid. To me, it's astonishing that LSU is recruiting in the Midwest the way that they are, because there's a lot of players that just don't look like that in Louisiana. There's plenty in Texas, but it's hard to recruit in Texas, especially when Texas has a lot of momentum, and A&M and TCU, and heck, even Houston and SMU get dudes from here and there. And not to mention Texas Tech and Baylor are rolling. Baylor turns out draft picks left and right. So for LSU to be able to go into Coach Kelly and Coach Polian's old stomping grounds in the Midwest and get guys that look like Tavion Galloway, and to have them commit in the summer going into their junior years, not all kids are always ready to commit that early, so it will be a fight to obviously hold on. But when you start building a class this early, usually has the staying power, and they start, they develop relationships with each other. They start recruiting and building the class through the kids, which is always kind of fun to see. And I know that they got Maurice Williams out of Houston. They got the kid Xavier Atkins out of Jonesboro Hodge. Wouldn't be surprised if that 2024 class gets a little bit bigger going into the season with the next couple of weeks. Some kids will, before their junior seasons will commit. And I think there's going to be a little bit more Texas influence in that 2024 class, because it's a pretty special class over in Texas. And LSU's got some strong ties to that area with that class, so I would watch that a little bit.
Ricky Collins at Woodlawn, he's a name that has been surfacing a lot over the last couple of weeks, and LSU seems to be making a big push on him before his senior season and into it. Where does his recruitment stand? He's committed to Purdue and seems like he has been steadfast that he is a Boilermaker. How much do you believe him?
Hey, don't question Slick Rick.
Yeah.
He is very adamant about his Purdue commitment. The Brahms have done a fantastic job with Ricky.
Yeah.
They were one of his early offers. They've stuck with him. They've been loyal to him, and he's already taken his official visit up to Purdue, and they knocked it out of the park. And he's saying all the right things. LSU has been turning up the heat in a gigantic way behind the scenes. Obviously, with Holstein committing and Arch committing and Dante Moore committing, they've kind of zeroed in on Ricky, and what a fantastic plan B to have Ricky Collins as your plan B. LSU's in a unique situation. They have their work cut out for them. They've turned up the heat. I think it'll be interesting to see if he shows up this weekend. He's been on campus quite a bit in June, and as they keep turning up the heat, they want to see the interest reciprocated. And I think they've done a good job with not only Ricky but the Woodlawn coaches, with Ricky's mom, who's playing a big role in his recruitment. But Ricky's a quarterback, and he's very confident in his decision to commit to Purdue, and he's turned down a lot of schools showing interest over the last couple of months. No one has stopped showing interest in Ricky Collins.
Sure.
So LSU has their work cut to do, but they also have the staff that they should be able to make a move there, and we'll see how it goes.
Other side of the ball, same school, Jordan Matthews. He's another name this summer that really blew up, and people are wondering what's happening there. Where does he stand?
Yeah, Jordan's had an excellent spring, not only on track where he set a whole bunch of personal bests, but after his spring game, he got the Alabama offer from Coach Golding. He came and worked out for LSU. They re-offered him. Texas has been kind of the team with a lot of momentum with Jordan for a while. They offered early. Terry Joseph has been recruiting him for a long time. I think he's been to Austin, 6 times unofficially. And he'll be back there this weekend, and I think this will be a telling visit. Now, Texas has had a ton of recruiting momentum since Arch, and we talk about the depth of elite prospects in the state of Texas, and they're starting to fill up. I think they have 20 out of 25 guys already verbally committed to Texas at this point.
Wow.
And that includes in the secondary. They just got Malik Muhammad, who's the number 2 cornerback on 3. They're still heavily in it with Jordan. They really like this kid, Javian Toviano. It's another kid that LSU really likes. And there's a chance that both are on campus this weekend. I think Jordan would like to have a decision sooner rather than later, and I think they've been moving toward that, with Alabama being probably the biggest hesitation, with Pete Golding turning up the heat. LSU is in it. They just have their work cut out for him. They've kind of fallen behind the 8 ball a little bit. They have to gain ground. The longer it goes, the better it works for LSU. But Texas is hoping to have him committed, ideally, if not before his senior season, but probably by his OV when Alabama rolls into town.
Wow. When you look at LSU's quarterback situation presently, how do you judge that competition going into camp?
That's a really good looking quarterback room. And I think Joe Sloan, Coach Denbrock are 2 happy guys to inherit that room. I've been a huge fan of Garrett Nussmeier his entire prep career. He worked out for LSU as an underclassman, and he blew me away. And I went to go see him a couple of times at Marcus Flower Mound, and I think he's obviously we know who his dad is.
Your daddy.
It shows with how smart he is. His football knowledge is through the roof, and not only the things like arm strength, but anticipation of throws, be able to make these off-schedule throws. He played against, I want to say, in a district game, he has no offensive linemen that are going to college, and he's running around for his life. And I'm like, man, you look like Brett Favre out there. And he's like, well, I have no time in the pocket. He's buying 5 and 6 seconds to launch it to J. Mike Sertovan, who's now a receiver at Cal. Those are the best 2 players on the team. His football brain, his knowledge is through the roof. Then you throw in a guy like Walker Howard, who has been a prodigy, obviously since he's been at STM. What he did last year coming off the injury, the 17 touchdowns, 2 picks in 4 games, like it's unheard of. And he wasn't 100%. He's wired very differently, Walker. I'll tell you that from getting to know him. I have a lot of confidence in that room. Obviously, Miles Brennan is there. Jaden Daniels is there as well. I'm not as Miles I've known forever, but those 2 young quarterbacks have a ton of not only talent but football knowledge and football drive, which I think you can't instill in a quarterback. It's just not in everyone. When you cover recruiting, you see kids that are really into it and kids who aren't into it, and those dudes live and breathe football, and that's with Joe Sloan and Denbrock there. The sky's the limit for them.
Last week we were at SEC Media Days and we ran into Napier, and he's over in Florida. He had to pen a letter to the fans about recruiting, kind of to calm everybody down. As we said, you're as connected in this world nationally that we have, or at least regionally that we have in this area. What is the buzz on him in that field?
I like to joke with all the local TV people around here, because every year in June and July they go, hey, what are you doing? It's only 2 times a year where they ask me to ever come on TV. It's for signing day and in the middle of the summer. And is something going wrong with recruiting? It's the summertime. Sometimes a team will have 10 commits by May, and sometimes they'll have 2. And a lot of times it's these big schools like Alabama and LSU and Florida. Florida is turning up the heat, and they just got a commitment from Trayon Webb, who was a national guy. They're in it heavily with Cormani McLean, who's a 5-star plus cornerback from Lakeland, Florida. They have some momentum with a kid from Tampa who's committed to Ohio State. Napier, maybe he didn't get his feet under him as quickly as he might have liked, but he's got a huge new staff. They're getting their feet wet. Mario Cristobal hits the ground running with recruiting. Napier's more calculated. And we saw what he did at Louisiana. I mean, obviously, you talk about LSU being the blue chip school in the state, but what he did at UL, getting the guys that he did from some of the best players from some of the high schools in the state, that's why they won. He recruited very well, and he saw things that most coaches at UL would not have recruited in the past. So give him some time. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. Speaks, it's great to see you, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming through. Sam Spiegelman, he is over at On3. You can follow him on Twitter at Sam Spiegs. The best, man. They have a great team over there at On3. Sammy is boots on the ground, covering it from a national standpoint, a regional standpoint, has great relationships with the players and all of the prospects. Make sure and follow him on Twitter at Sam Spiegs for the latest over in On3 and in recruiting. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show. That conversation brought to you by GoFlow, GEAUX Flow, IV.com. Get in touch with our friends over at GoFlow. If you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, you save 15% on your initial visit over there at GoFlow. Remember, that is Baton Rouge's premier vitamin infusion hydration company over at GoFlow, GEAUX Flow, IV.com. They take walk-ups. They recommend you make an appointment. The easiest way to do that is by going online to GoFlow at GEAUX Flow, IV.com. Tell them you heard it here. Save yourself 15%. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
I was excited to come to a top level program. I've been at a lot of great places, been very fortunate in my career, but to really say that you have an opportunity every year, once we get it rolling, to win a national championship, there's not very many places that you can say that. So for him to offer me the opportunity to come with him to LSU was nothing but humility and gratitude. Some Sunday players in that room. But again, it's got to be the total package, the total process of buy-in, of understanding what we're trying to get done, of figuring out how we want it to get done, but also allowing those guys to be able to play with instincts. For example, I think Jay Ward is long and athletic. He's very versatile. He's played corner, played nickel, played safety. Very excited about Joe Fouché, one of the transfer guys that we came in because he has a dimension of physicality. Major Burns. Fortunate enough that he was able to come back home. Again, he's long, he's athletic, so he gives you flexibility between both field and boundary safeties. And then you've got some guys that you can throw in like Brooks, Sage, Derek Davis. Todd Harris is a guy that's been around for a while. So I think that we have enough in that room to be successful. But again, you still want to continue to grow and be able to push each point.
Yeah, well, I think it starts here, and we have a good bit of people on this particular staff who are from Louisiana, who know and believe in our hearts that this place produces the best football players in the country, you know, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. Per capita, produce the most NFL players, you know what I mean? So even from an analytical standpoint, it makes sense to take the kids from here because the chances of them playing in the league are higher than if they come from anywhere else. I think our brand is super powerful, so we will have to recruit at a national level, or there's really no reason that we shouldn't, you know what I mean? Because if we can get a top player from another state who can help us win a championship, then of course, right? But I think it starts right here in Louisiana and then right here in Baton Rouge. You know, there's some really good players who are still available that are right here in Baton.
I think so too.
Yesterday?
Oh, I got to do that.
Yeah, I told you I was going.
today.
I did.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, I'll go again.
We're ready for our F1 segment with Frank. Do we have Frank Alessi on? Hey, Frank.
Hey, good morning. What's going on?
How's it going? How's the beach?
It's good so far. We just got out here yesterday, but
nice.
hopefully we don't catch any rain. It's nice and sunny right now.
You're at Orange Beach. Oh, yeah, there you are out there on the balcony.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that nice?
Yep. Yeah.
So tell us what happened with the.
What's going on, everybody?
Tell us what happened in the French Grand Prix, but I know you have some notes on that. But is this the last French Grand Prix? I think I read something like that. Like the contract ends this year, and it's maybe not going to return.
I don't think case yet. I know they were working on a bunch of tracks, trying to get them back on the long-term deals.
Yeah.
So you kind of been hearing of a lot of them with different issues, and they kind of just make it more than it is, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Whether like a lot of these tracks are going to come back or not, but you know, some of the ones carry a little more weight than others, like a Spa or a Monaco. People get a lot more emotional about,
right?
In terms of putting them on the calendar, or getting rid of them.
Is it just a money thing that they're getting rid of some of these races?
Yeah, more or less. It's a money thing. A couple of them have tracks where they won't, the actual track won't, they won't really conform to what F1 wants and modify the track in certain ways. But really, I mean, at the end of the day, everything's about money.
Right.
We're trying to get the best deal for themselves. And if they can't, they walk.
Right. So tell us the winner.
That's kind of where it's.
Max, I'm going to butcher this.
Max Verstappen.
Verstappen. So he won it. This
Verstappen. Yeah, this is his 7th win of the year, and another one that did to him and put on cruise control by Ferrari. You know, actually, this was the first one that actually on Charles.
Okay.
You know, Ferrari didn't enter the strategy for Charles, and the engine held up, was doing fine to that point. He just he spun it out and crashed it out, and pretty much just gifted the win to Max. You know, Charles was in the lead when it happened, and it was looking to be like another awesome race to the end. A little too hard, and actually the interesting thing was the corner that was giving Ferrari their greatest benefit all weekend is what got him.
Mm-hmm.
He made the Ferrari take my line into this it's a tricky turn. It's a long radius, and they go way deep and wide and carry about 8 or 9 miles an hour more speed through that turn than everybody else. And that's kind of what out. He went a little too far and got a line on the paint and spun it around from the wall.
Mm-hmm. Man.
So after that, Max just cruised.
I was Ferrari lost, and we had a bet on Ferrari. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit, if that's okay. Take me to the Hungarian Grand Prix. I think it's on the 29th. Pick me a winner, Bobby.
it should be a Ferrari.
If you say Ferrari, I swear.
Yeah, it should be. Look, it should be a Ferrari track. I'm gonna pick Matt. I think Charles should win, but that hasn't been kind to me lately.
That's right. I'll ride with you one more time. Let's go. Let's take another loop around the track.
I mean, haven't you won all the bets?
No, we lost last week because we crashed. I just heard.
That's right.
Yeah, we just crashed.
Yeah.
We spun out, but that's okay. We were in the lead, and so, like I said, I'll ride with him one more again with Ferrari. I know he's a homer for the horse, but that's okay. I'm gonna ride with him because he knows more about it than I do.
Right. Well, what about Mercedes?
Well,
They're porpoising.
even bias aside, you can kind of look at it from which car is better at which track, and this one should suit Ferrari.
What doesn't suit Ferrari?
Well, to be honest, that's a fair point. It's been this year they've evolved their car to a point where it's really good.
Yeah.
But there are still some tracks that are going to be better for Red Bull. Higher speed tracks, the longer straights, and a couple of those are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But this Hungaroring should be very, very beneficial for Ferrari.
And so that's the next race coming up?
Yeah, Hungary's coming up.
Okay.
And that's this weekend. And in the podcast, I predicted a Ferrari won first time this year. We'll do it. They should be able to do it if they don't screw it up.
Lloyd's placing his bets right now.
Yeah, I did. I just put it in. I bet on both. I bet on your guy and I bet on Ferrari, so we're in.
The Ferrari strategy, even though Charles spun out, they still seem to botch it with Carlos. And it's staggering, man. I truly believe less in the way that these things are being managed. It's unbelievable what is happening. They had a podium on the table, and they pitted Carlos for new tires with 11 and pretty much just blew that out of the water.
That's wild.
So it's another management mistake on their end by I guess what I would reckon is like the pit chief, and that's the second time he's done that, and it's and thinking like 4 races you've told us.
Yes. So that's probably.
We got a little spotty Wi-Fi, Frank.
Yeah,
in terms of cell phones.
We lost it. All right, Frank, tell him where you can find. Oh, there he goes. All right.
Oh, there you go. Frank, tell us what we can look forward to for next week's podcast. Yeah, your Wi-Fi's a little bit spotty.
You got the beach Wi-Fi, dude. You got a bunch of kids on there.
Tell us what's coming up for Pretty Improved.
All right, we'll go live every Monday at 8:30. Podcast will be released Wednesday at 11 a.m. and all social media, Podium Proof F1.
Got it. Love it. Everybody give it a follow. Thank you, Frank. Enjoy the rest of your week at the beach.
Yeah, we'll be here. Yeah, for the rest of the week.
Nice.
Absolutely. Vacation.
We're jealous.
I'm going next week.
Thank you, Frank. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank y'all. See y'all later.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. The Wi-Fi was just a little bit
spotty
spotty
dude, he's
there.
at the beach. He's on the balcony where everybody
mean-
smokes cigs. Like that. I don't think you'd expect a lot of. I don't think you'd expect good Wi-Fi. Yeah, you just
got cigarette Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you got. All you do is look at the water and watch the people go down to the beach, and you're like, that'll be me.
But why do you have to smoke cigs?
Huh?
Why do you have to smoke cigs?
Because they always have the little ashtray out there.
Who?
The resorts. Yeah, well, you've never been to these normal places. You don't understand.
Katie, you don't live. You live luxury everywhere.
I
you go.
absolutely have been to condos at Orange Beach, but I didn't know they provided ashtrays.
Luxurious condos.
I've never noticed that.
Well, now it's for weed, but I would imagine there's still some cigarette smokers out there.
That's not true. Noah,
See if I
what
can
about
burn that
National
energy.
Chicken Finger Day?
That's today?
Was it? It already happened, right?
I think it was
Joey
last
Chestnut
Saturday.
Did you
did
see
it.
the guy from?
I saw Joey Chestnut.
That could be you.
He 44.
55 chicken tenders in 5 minutes.
I cannot even think of the breading.
minutes?
In 5 minutes. Well, that's what I was.
I
You
can't
couldn't
eat
do it,
4
right?
in 5 minutes.
No.
No chance.
How many do you think you could
20?
in 5 minutes?
I think you could eat 20.
Maybe.
I think you could eat
He
20.
went no sauce.
That's a lot.
No, wait.
Well, why would he do sauce if it's like a contest?
No sauce.
Jordy, you're
That's because you're too Baton Rouge now.
That's
Like
like you're
you've been around it for too long.
But he's not trying to enjoy
What a
this
criticism.
with 44
No, it's not. No, I know people from
It's
Baton Rouge.
such a low blow, bro.
I know people that are from Baton Rouge, and they
Alexandria
can't, hey, if you want to make fun of Alexandria, you can, because people lined up outside, like wrapped around the building when Canes came to
I bet.
Alexandria. It was like a
That's a
national
prom
holiday.
date.
Yeah,
That's a prom date.
people were like standing outside.
Yeah.
It's like we can't be celebrating it this much. We've had chicken tenders before, but I know people from Baton Rouge that had it so much that they're done with it. Like they can't stand the smell of it, the sight of it, the taste of it, the touch of it.
I fell in love with Raising Cane's when Bailey's Chicken Fingers. Who remembers this? Nobody in this room can recall this.
No shot.
Was that like
Nobody.
a local place?
Bailey's was a chicken finger place before Raising Cane's came about, and there was, the Texaco on Highland and Lee.
I don't know these things.
Texaco and Highland and Lee, right by campus. By campus. Across the street from that was a old. That's not it. But it was local. It was local.
Okay.
There was a fast track there originally, which is the best hamburger ever created.
Never heard.
Fast food.
Is that still there?
It's not there.
Oh.
It's not there. And then it closed, and then a Bailey's Chicken Fingers opened right there. And for about a 2-year run, Bailey's was like the Raising Cane's of chicken fingers, where they had cornered the Baton Rouge market on chicken fingers. They had themselves like a simple box with the crinkled fries. I mean, like it was
like Cane's.
They had a deal.
Stole
bro.
his whole flow.
They had a deal.
Word for word,
What
bar
happened
for
to
bar.
him?
But
They got put out by Cane's.
Cane's opens up their original on campus.
Yeah.
Graves does incredible work. The place is exploding. They want to expand. Their second location was the one on Lee Drive. As soon as you cross over Highland, kind of right there in the middle of that shopping center.
Yeah.
That was the second Raising Cane's ever. And Bailey's
Weird.
and Bailey's was located kind of like catacorner across the street, and put on their sign, "It's wartime."
Oh, let's go.
That's sad.
They
And
lost
didn't
And I'm
make
coach.
it. They
I'm
lost.
coach. 4 months later, the place was shuttered.
wave the white napkin.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
We don't want this
whoa,
one
whoa, whoa,
smoked.
no mas.
Yeah.
No mas, no mas. And Graves put them out of business within not even a quarter.
There's a 2002 article on the LSU Reveille, Canes versus Bailey's.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess they were going.
Canes-
That's why they put it together.
Canes became the Alabama football of chicken
did.
fingers, while
Bailey's
was.
I mean, LSU just taking
I
lumps.
mean, just right. I mean, not even. I mean, like Sam Houston State.
Been relegated.
It's just like
You're in 2A now.
they don't exist.
Not gone.
It was a green and white logo. The logo was like green and white. And I want to say that there might have been multiple locations of Bailey's at the time. Like they were like feeling themselves. You know, like, I
Who
mean.
was it? Do you know who the
I
owner
don't
was?
know who it was because we were like in high school when it opened. Or maybe even like younger than that. Canes was in high school. I was in high school when Canes opened. So Bailey's had been around for a minute. But then Canes came up in there, bro, and
Changed the game by not changing the game.
Well, did you see the thing about Todd Graves buying the 50,000 lottery
Yes.
tickets?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
yeah, I mean,
And no one
No,
won.
I have it.
Nobody won.
he bought the employees of Raising Cane's $50,000 worth of Powerball tickets.
What was the number at?
$780 million.
And nobody won it.
Or
We got to go buy some
You could
lottery
win it and
tickets.
still
What are
not
we
have
doing?
enough money
It's
to
at a
buy out the
billion.
boss.
It's at $1 billion right now.
I know.
is that a Billy?
It's at $1 billion.
No way.
Yeah,
How
it
have-
is.
how
They didn't win the
not
780?
Nobody won the
He spent
780. so now it's at
$50K in
$1
lottery tickets and nobody won.
Is that a tax write-off?
It has to be
Yeah, it's
something.
like an
I mean,
employee gift,
rich,
so
rich
yeah.
people only operate under that.
Exactly. That didn't
tax
really
write-off.
spend any money,
That's
but I
right.
would have collected a
Yeah.
great deal of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it worked out for
Not paying
him.
taxes. What are you
What
kidding
talking
me?
about? I'm in Dubai.
I think it's a sign that we're supposed to win, so we better go buy tickets.
Or you were telling us it's a sign that we should do tax write-offs.
Yeah.
No, it's a sign that we should go buy lottery tickets.
We should get in the tax game.
I'm in on the lottery tickets.
Not in on committing fraud.
Then we can just burn this place down.
Oh,
with
okay,
all
I
the
got
Yeah, I
it.
got it. All right.
Rebuild it.
Cody Boudreaux, Pineville has a walk-ons.
Alexandria has a walk-ons.
Everywhere has a freaking walk-ons.
The
now.
Alexandria walk-on slaps though. Like
Franklin
it's delicious. It's
Why?
probably the best.
How are
maybe
they
one of the-
different? I don't understand how
Good
they're
management. I mean, Alexandria people running Alexandria stuff. They know their clientele. They know what we want.
We got us a walk-ons.
Oh my God.
That place is made for Alexandria.
Yes,
Just
it
sit
is.
at the bar. You're gonna talk to some girl you went to high school with that's working as a bartender. Probably can go hook up in the back in your car.
God.
Go back
In
out
between the appetizer and the main course.
Exactly. Your sliders are
You mind if I
ready.
get a lighter from you?
Exactly.
Meet me in the car.
Yeah, my shift's over in 10. I'll start my shift in 10.
Perfect.
Let's switch. Just take my apron.
There's nothing underneath.
Yeah.
Take the name tag off first.
Yes. But it's a good one.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the best walk-ons I've been to is in Bruley.
Really?
Yeah. Because they give a damn.
People. Yeah.
You
That's
know what
what
I mean?
you could, I mean.
It's not littered with college kids that are, you know, like, they don't care. I mean, they're just here collecting a check.
And
Probably
you know,
stoned.
and you
You know what I
know
mean?
everybody's going to that walk-on.
Absolutely.
It could not serve food and
Absolutely.
it'd be still as
That's true.
popular as ever.
You could go see every CEO. If you ate lunch Monday through Friday at the Bruley walk-ons, everybody who had any money in that city would be through there.
Well, is there no other restaurant there?
No, there is, but at some point,
Yeah.
they're going to go there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's go to
That's weird.
walk-ons, boys.
Oh, easy
Absolutely.
call.
I do love their buffalo chicken wrap. Has anybody had that?
Yes.
It's like the only
It's-
thing I eat
it's
there.
up there. It's sneaky.
You've never had it?
Is it grilled or
I don't
fried?
do buffalo.
Oh, no.
Oh,
It's
Noah,
grilled.
wow.
Is it
I didn't know
grilled or
that
fried?
you didn't
Can you do either
anything.
one?
I know.
Can't you do
I
like?
think
They're
grilled.
boneless wings are the best ever.
Never had those. Because I
One
can't
seed?
not get the
You
buffalo
can even like
chicken wrap.
popcorn. I mean, you can almost like just grab a handful and just kind of like shovel them.
I can't do that with chicken.
No
It
ranch.
telling you.
freaks
No
me out.
ranch.
No
Oh.
ranch.
No sauce. Just
No
He's
sauce.
not a sauce guy.
Not a sauce guy.
I see.
Kane's no
I think
sauce.
sauce
a
is
bizarre
covering
move.
up your insecurities as a cook.
Oh,
Well, I didn't cook it.
Okay.
No, I'm not going at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't
Just
make
saying.
sauce. Yeah.
Keep your sauce.
Yeah, Lloyd.
Too
Well, I
much
figured-
So insecure with
And
your
I
sauce.
figured an Italian man would enjoy a good red sauce.
I like a good red sauce, but a red
Yeah.
sauce is a part
It's
of
the meal.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah,
just
It's
the
suga.
cooking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Italian.
The noodles are just a vacuum to get you to the sauce.
Brian Burgess, Canes is nothing like it used to be. What's
That's
different?
true.
Better
You know,
or
just-
worse?
No, than what the other way. They used to give you like a tender, like
Yeah,
a
I would
real
get
tender.
these little baby tenders.
No, you
Oh,
can
no.
make a little toast.
I'm
instead
complaining
of
about the
making-
tender
No.
size.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
no.
I'm complaining
Yeah,
about.
they lost their size. That's
No,
okay.
you
Always
no.
fresh. Tenders is Canes
Yeah.
is always
Of course,
fresh.
You get it and you get it fast.
Which is the best selling point?
You still get it
Yeah.
in your 2 minutes.
Right.
You
You
don't
do.
take a long
Well,
time.
you know what happened is they still have the same size tender. They chopped them in half and said same price point.
Inflation.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Inflation.
I'm okay with that. I don't like big tenders. I'd rather small tenders.
you make a lot of
Good
people.
save
Yeah,
right there.
making a lot of people in the chat happy.
Great
Did you
save.
say you don't like
So
big
everybody in
tenders?
corporate America just sat up at their desk.
I have a shot.
Holy shit, boys!
They're all in the break room.
Never mind. Never mind. She's
that
talking
was
about
sexual
chicken
at all.
tenders.
Did you see her on WFB this morning?
Wait till I give them this shot.
I don't feel like that at all.
Have fun, boys.
You pause it here at the right at the 2 hour mark.
2 hour.
Get your head.
One of the things that we did not talk about over the last 2 weeks happened while we were at SEC Media Days with the news broke that Florida Lee is closing.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
The popular
Did we
pizza
not
joint.
talk about that?
Did we not?
No.
I have not on this show. Y'all
No,
might have while I
and
was away.
you're a Fleur de Lis advocate, I would
Right.
imagine.
But no, people are
I
trying
dated
to
Fleur de
buy it
Lis
up,
for 4
though.
years.
Like people
love
are trying to
Fleur de
buy it and keep it
Huh?
exactly the same.
Are they?
Oh my God, there's like 10 people in line to buy it.
Well,
so
if they
it's gonna
don't,
be bad.
if they're not able to keep the business moving, which I hope somebody steps up and
Somebody
does not
is
let,
stepping up.
they better do something cool with that building.
I know.
Because
Where's
that
that at?
building
No,
is
everybody that wants to buy it wants to keep
incredible.
everything.
You've never been,
exactly the
Stewie?
same.
Never been.
Oh, we gotta get
I'm
it.
a virgin.
We
You
gotta
been,
go
Lloyd?
to Fleur de Lis.
I've been-
I was so dumb.
I've heard that the Fleur de Lis
Go
that
when
I
it
went to was
reopens.
different than the one in the past.
That's where we broke up. That's where
Yeah.
Florida
What
Lee and I
changed?
broke up. They did something to the dough.
Mm.
I think that what y'all are claiming on radio.
Yeah, 'cause
just
I-
try to make a little sneaky change that
Maybe
people
nobody
may not
noticed.
really. And like I said, we dated for 4 years. I mean,
I don't like
to-
I don't like this position.
I went to her house every Friday night for 4 years.
What
We had a
changed?
hell of a time. Sometimes we'd go back for double. I mean, sometimes we get two.
Square slice, right?
Square
They're
slice.
awful in there. They're
Could eat a
rude.
large.
Like they had like 2 employees.
Yeah.
Like
Have
you
to pay in
waited like
cash.
freaking 2 hours
Absolutely.
for a
A
pizza.
mega bitch and a super
by my
asshole.
house, like, kind
You know
of
what I mean?
like
And
on
they'll
my
tell you.
neighborhood.
They had
That's
no
superior.
problems telling you about
That
that.
pink building.
And I voiced my displeasure about. I said your prices have gone up.
You voiced
And
your
your pizza has
displeasure.
gone.
And your quality has gone down, and that was, I mean, like slam the window on me. Like, we'll keep the pizza, you know, like I'm
you
just
still
trying to
already
help.
paid.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to help. You know what I mean? I love the place. I'm just telling you that something's different.
And you're
It's
not
not,
telling me.
it's
yeah.
not the same. I mean, this isn't the same date we had last Friday
they were
night.
Going out. They were going
You taste
down,
a lot
clearly.
different.
Yeah.
You know what I
You need to
mean?
go to the doctor.
Something's going on.
Who have you been with?
Right. Everybody out.
You gotta go get checked. But that's what I think happened to me in my experience because it was hyped up so much,
Nah.
and then everybody like we went, and I was like, this.
It's
this
not
is
that
the-
great.
And I don't even really. Yeah, it was like it's not the best pizza I've ever had, but it was
Okay, but
allegedly
easy
at
on
one
that. It's
point.
not that good.
It's
I mean,
good,
it's
but
still
it's not
very,
that
very
great.
good.
Uh-oh, if it makes
At
it
one
not
point,
that
it was
good.
a 1 seed. At
Talking
one
about
point,
the
it was a
Now
1
it's a,
seed.
now it's a no seed.
Yeah, I would put Red Zeppelin as the 1 seed of pizza in
Really?
Baton Rouge. Roca.
Red Zeppelin.
Roca's
Roca's
great.
like
Right
a
there.
good date
City
pizza.
Slice
City Slice.
pretty
is
good.
phenomenal.
City Slice.
Schlitz and Giggles. Where are we at?
I like
Oh,
Schlitz and
Schlitz
Giggles,
is
too.
excellent if you're already on that part of town.
Yep.
Here's the
Really?
reason you're getting it. Oh
Yep.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
drunkpizza.com.
Yeah, it's a
It
drunk
is drunk
pizza.
pizza.
And you just fold the whole. You can roll
Which
the
is a
thing
huge
up like
market.
a joint.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
market. Yeah.
It is drunk pizza.
Okay.
Y'all never been to Fat Boys? Y'all ever been to Fat
No.
Boys?
No.
It's too big.
Yeah,
It's too
bro.
much.
I mean,
Yeah,
come
like,
on,
not
man.
for Katie.
What the fuck you want me to do with this thing, bro?
Yeah.
I mean,
It looks like a poster.
Things the size of my arm.
Wait,
Yeah.
like a slice?
A slice.
Is it like
One
thick or just
That's a thin.
It's
long?
It's like a pencil, like a number 2 pencil, unsharpened. It's thin.
Very thin.
10. All right, have a great day. Hit that like and share button. Remember, our content is over at WAFB Plus, WAFB.com/Jordy Culotta. They've been correcting me on that. I've been
Don't you
saying
get that
backwards
backslash.
Yeah, right. Sorry. /Jordy. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things. We appreciate that. What's today? Thursday? Where are my dogs at? Ro will have his show tonight, 6 o'clock from studio here. Make sure you are following Where My Dog's At on YouTube, all social media, and you will get Ro at 6 o'clock tonight. We are back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. You won't find out until game time.
Yeah,
Don't know what puppy's in the kennel.
That is the Roe way, baby.
Yeah.
He'll be here, though. He'll be here.
Roe v. Way.
550. He'll pull up.
Bye.
We out.
See you later. Thanks, Lloyd. Great show until Lloyd landed the plane.
Yeah.
Fucking crashed it on the way down.